Welcome back. You're watching Creating Cooperative Kids, and I'm your host, Bill Corbett. In the last segment, we helped parents identify if their child is likely to fall victim to bullies and what they can do about it. But some parents are raising bullies as well. According to the National School Safety Center, 1 out of 5 children admits to being a bully or doing some sort of bullying against other children. In the past studies, nearly 60% of boys whom researchers classified as bullies in grades 6 through 9 were eventually convicted of at least one crime by the age of 24. So how would a caregiver know if you're raising a bully, and what can you do about it? My guests today are Jim Bouchard, author of the book Think Like a Black Belt, and national parenting guru Rae Kelly. Thanks for staying with me through the break. So we talked about the victim, so now let's give as much time as we can for the bully. How do parents know if they're raising a bully?
That's your tagline, so you've got to take this
Okay,
first.
I'll take it. If they're raising a bully, 2 things. The statistic you just mentioned about more likely to commit a crime later in life. What that bully is seeking is power. Does that child have authentic power, or do they need to seek it in other ways that are more destructive? So if you're not empowering your child authentically through experiences, through your words, through validation, you are most likely raising a bully. But in the absence of that, proactive parenting, not reactionary parenting, not am I doing this, am I not doing this, what are you doing? What is your parenting strategy? And what I like to talk about is, are you raising a likable child? Are you raising a child that you like, that you enjoy, that society likes and enjoys? And I always say that, look at your own experiences and the people you deal with in your life. You have those people that you have those first-time encounter with, and you're just like, yeah, if they ever asked me to move them out of their apartment, I wouldn't be there.
Right.
You know, and you have that other group of people that could call you at 2 a.m. for a ride, and you'd show up. And it's all based on likable characteristics, whether that for you is work ethic, humility, strength of character, whatever it is. What are you doing to instill those characteristics in your child? Don't be a reactionary parent. So that would...
And then that's the parenting side, but you know, a lot of the children that we handle and a lot of the parents that we encounter in the martial arts world, it's often that we're getting the kids at risk. We're getting the kids that don't have that strong parenting. And it's important, I'm not one for abdicating personal responsibility, as you know, right? But it's important for the rest of us to step up. And here's why. Because if we don't help these kids find themselves, if we don't provide the leadership and the coaching that they need, then they're going to end up in the system. They're going to end up in jail. They're going to end up being a bigger problem to us later on, all right? So even putting aside that just the purity of spirit that the gentleman earlier expressed, absolutely. If people are teaching martial arts or dance to children, it's because they believe in it. They really love to do it. But on the other hand, we have to look at it and embrace it as a community. If we don't help these kids now, we're going to be trying to help them later on, and it's a lot more expensive, a lot more difficult, right?
That's a much higher cost.
Much higher
Yeah,
cost.
well, in my years of working with parents and parent education, now I've raised 3 kids and they're doing pretty well. So people say, okay, your kids are doing fine. Why are you bothering, wasting time still doing parenting classes? I said, because my grandkids are going to have to interact with your kids.
Right.
You know, so, and we can do the best we can to arm our kids, but then we have to send them out in the world and they have to interact with others. Now, you do self-defense yourself, Jim?
Yeah, I still have one school in Brunswick, Maine, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Now, thinking like a black belt, how can we apply that to raising kids to make sure they don't become bullies?
Well, you know, again, Jonathan, I should take him on the road with me. He hit all the key
He did,
words, right?
he did.
Yeah, respect being prime, right?
Yeah.
Discipline, focus, all these skills, all these characteristics. Now, arguably, those are the characteristics of anybody who's out there being positive and being successful, right? Producing a successful life. So it's not unique to the martial arts, but you know, all I did was organize it from my experience as a martial artist. Those are the things we emphasize in the martial arts world. As I got to know Tina more, in spirit of full disclosure, she's teaching me how to tap dance, right?
That's right.
It's the same principles, right? The discipline, the focus, the perseverance, the confidence, the courage you need. I mean, you tell me where those characteristics don't apply, right? Business life, parenting,
Absolutely.
any area. But we've got to get back to those core values. I think sadly that's where we've kind of gotten off the beam, isn't it? People are looking for complex answers. The stuff that we're talking about, it's not rocket surgery. This is simple stuff.
Well, just everything you just said, that all those characteristics apply even when parenting. even when parenting,
Yeah,
you need
it's sad
to
to say it
work.
that way, right?
You
Yeah.
need, parenting is a job for a reason. You need to work. You need to have a strategy. There needs to be time and hours put in that are purposeful in order to accomplish good parenting, in order to bring about a good result.
Should be
And I
common
think-
sense, but
Right, and I think a lot of people, it's that reactionary thing, and it's not purposeful.
Well, one of the things that I think we have to remind parents about is there's a lot of things we can do. We have to make sure that our lives, our own lives, are speaking to the children and
Yes.
the messages
Yes.
we want to see. Because, oftentimes, well, I spent many years counseling or working with dads, incarcerated fathers. And I said, you know what? Your little boy is going to learn how to grow up and treat little girls simply by how he's watching you treat his mother.
Absolutely.
And then on the flip side, because some guys say, well, I don't have a son, I have a little girl. Great. Your little girl is going to learn how to grow up and allow herself to be treated simply by how you're watching her treat her
You
mother.
couldn't be more right. We had it's a very sad story. One of the instructors in one of my other centers had a child whose dad was in prison. And then he was released, and the kid was having a meltdown. And he asked him, what's bothering you? He said, I want to be just like my dad.
Oh,
You see? Yeah, and I applaud you for the work you're doing. That's important work. You have to train the parents.
So we have to be careful what examples we're setting for our children.
Yes.
We also have to be careful for what we're allowing our children to be exposed to. Because while some parents think they're doing an awesome job,
Yeah.
but letting your kids on YouTube 24 hours a day, having a laptop in their room.
The weapons of mass destruction, we found them. Okay, the cell phone, the laptop, overexposure to television.
Don't get me started on
Texting.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
these are the weapons of mass destruction.
So, excuse me. We're gonna try to stretch this a little bit farther, as I alluded in the beginning. Let's move bullying into the workplace and see, because I think that's going on, and I think you can offer some tips on there. So, I receive emails, letters, and even phone calls from across the country, all from parents in desperate need to help with their children. I recently received a very uncommon letter from a parent who was hoping I could answer her unique question. Strangely enough, it looks like I'm going to be able to do just that. Stay with me through the break to learn about some tips on handling bullying in the workplace. We'll be right back.